I really did not expect for part 1 to blow up of these redesigns of entities, and so if you haven't watched it, I do Infestation, the Squiddles, and the Puddles of Void Mass. So yeah, go click there on my channel page if you want to go see that. But yeah, welcome to part 2. You guys straight up just didn't ask, you guys just demanded it. You guys also gave me some suggestions, so yeah, we're gonna be doing part 2. Same rules as last time. We are going to be sticking to the main themes of the entities, and we're just gonna go from there. Some changes are just more drastic than others, stuff like that. Just keep in mind, same as last time, this isn't me saying, oh, I'm gonna make better designs. It's more of like my version of the entities. So yeah, let's get started. By far, Searchlights has been the most requested entity, and that makes sense since Searchlights is like a main character entity in this game. Out of those many comments asking me to draw Searchlights, the one that got me to actually do it was this one comment that said that them and their friends call Searchlights Stewie, which I thought was the most adorable thing ever. Anyways, overall though, Searchlight's design is pretty much perfect when it comes to conveying what it does in the game, and you know, it's pretty creative. So what am I really gonna change up about Searchlights? I think the main thing that can be pointed out in Searchlight's design that I want to change up is that Searchlights is really basic. There's just 2 colors, orange and then black, and then the white for the teeth. But, you know, there's just those 2 primary colors of orange and black. So there's not really a lot going on. And that makes sense considering that Searchlights is always in the sky and we don't see half of its model, so it doesn't really need to be detailed. But for this redesign, I'm just gonna focus on the fact that Searchlights is a pretty plain design, and I'm just gonna make it more detailed. If you didn't know, and you probably didn't know unless you read the wiki for Searchlights, Searchlights has a shell on its back, which you can only see when Lucy steps on the Searchlight at the end of the game. And as I said, we don't see half the models, so there's no need for it to be detailed. So we're gonna emphasize the shell this time. And we're gonna add like those little details that we just never see, but like bigger and more recognizable, like the spikes at the rear, which are usually really tiny. I'm gonna make them bigger. I'm just gonna make them look cooler. I'm also gonna add these little side spikes, and I just think they add just a little bit of flair. I also changed up the fins a bit with the shape. I made it more triangular and axolotl looking, kind of, instead of, you know, the dropping hanging tail that we see in the game. It really doesn't have a purpose besides that it looks cooler in my opinion. Another detail that I changed up is the harpoons. The harpoons in the game kind of just look like fishing hooks, and I kind of tried to play into the same fishing hook idea, but instead I made it looking like their teeth. You cannot convince me that the Searchlight is growing metal in their mouth when they were already stated in their document to not be an experiment and to be a wild animal. You cannot convince me they're growing metal in their mouth, and that metal is just not calcium from their teeth. On the topic of talking about Searchlight's mouth, I also had this little gray saliva, grayish black saliva coming out. With that gaping hole in the sky facing downwards, how is there nothing falling out? So yeah, the harpoons are falling out, but so is some saliva. I also made the harpoons stained with blood that's dripping because they impale their enemies, so you cannot convince me that they are just not stained, unless the saliva's washing it off, but I don't know. I doubt it. I also made the shell brown and more beige, and the spikes the also same grayish brown color because I just wanted to add more color variation considering, you know, as I said, the original design doesn't have a lot of color variation. And then lastly, the last little detail is the spots. I just decided to put in the spots because I thought that they would fit more just with the design overall, since Searchlights seems like a fish that would be spotted. I don't know why. I forgot to mention this, but you probably already noticed. I gave Searchlights these little side fins. I just thought they would make it look, I don't know, cooler, because Ro's swimming around, so give him some extra fins. I'm gonna add some little details like glowing and lighting, and yeah, that's Searchlight's redesign. Tell me what you think, and on to the next entity. Before I say anything about Pandemonium's design, I just have to say that the original design just cannot be topped. Whatever I'm doing consider the original design better. I'm just doing Pandemonium because everyone requested it. It was the second most requested. I didn't want to draw Pandemonium, but some people just wanted it, and I don't think I can top its current design, so please don't flame me if I mess up really badly. Despite my best efforts to avoid drawing Pandemonium, this channel is run by the people. So you guys recommend stuff and suggest stuff, and I do it for you. By the way, saying this, please recommend videos ideas. Videos ideas? Whatever. Please recommend ideas, because I am in desperate need of some. Oh, and by the way, before I get to the design part, the background music for this section of the video is a remix of the soundtrack for Pandemonium's actual theme in the game, Knock Knock, created by my friend, QHX. So, yeah, go check out his little pressure remixes. I don't know. He has forced me at gunpoint to say this. So yes. Okay, onto the actual designs part, and I'll make this quick because I genuinely hate the design I made. I added the skull thing on top, and I made the line art for the skull with the little cracks, because I added cracks to the skull. I made those white. I also added these little white flares coming from its eyes, and I kept pretty much the mouth, the same goopy, weird teeth theme with the eyes in it. I just thought that the skull would fit more because it's like imitating a human, considering that Pandemonium's description is like imitating a human's face, but it's like really distorted. So I kind of kept to that, but instead like kept the skull as if it's like a mask. And I added these little droopy claw things holding the skull, just kind of playing into that theme. I added drips coming from the eye holes, and yeah, that's pretty much the main stuff that I changed. The mouth, I kind of did worse. I feel like after the skull part, I really fell off with this design remake. I really don't think it turned out the best, so please don't flame me. I have realized my mistakes. Okay, yeah, that's Pandemonium. Just doing some shading. Yeah, that's Pandemonium's design. Okay, please, on to the next entity. This next entity is the most popular, the most fangirled, the third most requested, or second, I don't remember. And today, please give a round of applause for Sebastian Soles. Yeah! On to the actual drawing part. Here's your daily dose of fan service. I did not plan on doing Sebastian at all, since he's not one of the scary entities, but here we are, and the reason I did this was because of a comment, just like how I did Searchlights because of a comment. There were a lot of comments saying, do Sebastian, do Sebastian. So the one comment that really got me was that everyone else was asking nicely. They were like, oh, can you do Sebastian? No. There was this one person who said, I am looking forward to seeing Sebastian and this other entity. They didn't even ask, so I guess they were just expecting it, so I am legally obligated to do this. On to the actual design part though, I wanted to go a lot with the lore that Sebastian has and incorporate it into his design, because his design doesn't really show the lore that is told in his document, and his document has a lot of stuff to say. The main thing in his document that caught my attention was the DNA that was mixed with him during experimentation with Urban Shade. He doesn't really look like all the animals that he was mixed with, which is what confused me for his design choices and why his design looks like that. I don't think his design is terrible. It definitely fits with what they were going for, but with all this lore, it doesn't fit all the animal stuff that he was mixed with. If you haven't read Sebastian's document, he is mixed with silver spiny fish, blue whale, great white shark, and female anglerfish. Oh, also mantis shrimp. And the reason I emphasize female anglerfish is because, you know, that's the little dangly bit on his head with the little glowing ball, because male anglerfish do not have that. So, really weird. But, yeah. When I saw Sebastian, I just thought he was half shark, half human, but with all this, I am surprised he does not look different. So here's what I changed about his design. First of all, you can already notice that his fins, I made them more rounded and flobby. That's like anglerfish fins. And those white spots all around him are also like anglerfish spots, because anglerfish have spots. And while they're smaller, I just decided to emphasize them more just to give him, I don't know, more design to him. I gave him these blue eye bags, and this is mainly for the silver spiny fish, since while they don't actually have eye bags, they just have this downwards cut into their eyes, which makes it look like eye bags. For the tail, I was too lazy to make a full body, so I kind of just did a half body with his tail wrapped around him. So for the tail, I based it off the mantis shrimp and the shark tail. Of course, the shark tail is pretty recognizable, but I could not tell this man had mantis shrimp, and I don't think anyone could. So for the tail, I added those little shell plates that mantis shrimp have on their tails. It's not very like screaming mantis shrimp, but at least it incorporates it a little bit in its design. Some smaller details to him I added was his clothes. I gave them little tears in some areas, because you can't convince me that bro has been down here with all these entities and not a single one has tried to take a nibble. Secondly, I added these little webs between his claws, not to relate to any animal, just because it plays into the aquatic theme, and he can still hold stuff with his, claws, even if they have webs in them. I don't think it changes much. I added this little dorsal fin on his back to just play into the great white shark, but it's not really, I just thought it was cute. And for the funnies, I added a little yellow tooth sticking out of his mouth. Besides the whole list of things I just stated that I changed, for the most part, he kept the same shape overall, besides like the fins and the tail. And I kept his same clothes, I just added tears and stuff. You can still recognize it's Sebastian for the most part. It's just a more lore-based Sebastian, in my opinion. I kept Sebastian's epic wolf cut. I know a lot of other people would usually change it in a redesign, but I think that wolf cut is beautiful. It might not be a wolf cut, but I think it's a wolf cut. And when I asked for a wolf cut, they demolished my hair. So good on Sebastian for having a natural wolf cut. I don't know. I'm gonna add some blue shading on a blue multiplier layer to tie the piece together and add a bit of lighting, and that's Sebastian. Tell me what you think about his design, and yeah. Gonna just drop my final thoughts. Searchlights was my favorite overall piece, and Sebastian was the most well thought out, and Pandemonium makes me want to scream, kick, and cry, because I told you guys I could not draw him in the comments, but you guys absolutely proved me right that I cannot draw him, and I definitely failed. Okay, if you've made it this far into the video, and you have Discord and you have Roblox, comment your Roblox username and your Discord username, because I'm gonna do another drawing your avatars video, and yeah, I need some people. And I'm doing this for, I don't know, 800 subs special, so yeah, thank you guys, thank you. I love y'all so much. Okay, go drink water.